And welcome back, everybody, to the Mind Blossom. In the Mind Blossom, we talk about art, and I talk about the power of a changed mind. The power to control your own mind. We sometimes receive intrusive thoughts. Have you ever wondered about their source? Where they come from? Is it even possible to know the true origin of a thought? So, welcome to the Mind Blossom. When you look into the origin of your thoughts, even the intrusive ones, especially the intrusive ones, you are scanning the abyss, in a way, like the mental abyss, the mental plane. And all of these planes, they're connected, like a continuum. A continuum? What does that even mean? But we try to scan the bedrock of our mental plane, even though it is forever receding into darkness. For me anyway, I don't know the origin of all my thoughts, because sometimes you just get these thoughts, right? Because we're receiving. And we have a collection internally of thought forms, these bundles of electromagnetic geometries. They have a certain geometry beyond the kind that we're used to. It's more advanced. And have I seen these? Vaguely. I can imagine, but barely. Because I'm using my human mind. And so these bundles, they attract they all just form until they get greater and greater in magnitude, and they develop bodies throughout all the planes of reality. And they become these great archetypal forms. And we tap into those. So we cast energy out, but we receive it too. It's always flowing in and out of us. So it makes you consider if I'm sitting in an unlimited field, if I'm in the center of this unlimited field of information, and you're also in that, we're all in our own center. We all have these points of gravity. Not really gravity, but points where consciousness kind of comes to a concentrated singularity, and that's our soul. And we're taking record of all this that we experience. And some people say that information is stored in the Akashic records. That's the name of like the great unlimited library of all reality, where every possible experience is located in like a database. A little sidebar here, working with databases and storage and memory, like all that, memory drives, that's been my biggest challenge as an artist. This is a huge segue into a discussion about how I love hard drives. I just love having terabytes of storage. When you don't have storage and you're trying to paint and record or make stuff on your iPad and you run out of storage, it blocks the whole process. It throws everything off. That is a huge landmine in the development in my workflow, and I do it to myself. I should have bought the iPad with a greater storage, but this one has served me so well. Like I've always said, this iPad is like the most critical investment of my life, I want to say. It has made the most changes for me. Super grateful for my iPad. Technology is awesome. Technology is awesome. Not really a tech guy in that way, like that. I don't know about the inner workings of an iPad, and so it's like magic. Straight up. It's magic that I take for granted on the daily. And then many of us do, because we don't know what we're looking at. We got these screens, we've got these tablets. You know about the emerald tablets? The ancient emerald tablets? These are like modern day, we have tablets right now. And it's wild. It's crazy. And yet we cannot find satisfaction in these tablets. There's not, for as magical and as mind-bending as they are, they don't solve all of our problems. And they can actually cause a lot more problems than they solve. Magic is technology that science can't explain with logic. It's just too advanced. We're just not there yet. We haven't met it. But you won't find salvation in that process. You won't find salvation in technology. It can help save you from a lot of suffering, and it can save you from a lot of drudgery and the toils of physical labor, and it can save you time. But that time, it should be used and that time is what you use to find salvation. Salvation requires time. Your soul came down to this dimension to experience time, because this is where time happens. So if you want to know what it's like to be a person and experience time, you gotta come here. You've got to do your time. Not like a jail sentence, but like an experience. You can, while you're here, use your mind to focus on whatever you want. And you can use time to create any kind of reality. And when you look back, it seems to have been sequential. So we can do this. We grow by focusing a conscious attention span on the right thing. The right thing, what is that? Well, that's up to you. You know what's right. If you're sitting here listening to this, you know what's right. You know what I mean? And so that's the veil of knowledge, is believing that the more you read and obtain, the more there's salvation there. Knowledge won't take you to salvation. There at some point needs to be some kind of faith aspect too. Faith in the unknown. Because you gotta admit, the more you know, the more you begin to realize, I'm never gonna get everything. I'm never gonna know everything. It seems to be always expanding and like cascading faster than I could ever catch up to it. That's how knowledge is. And so you also have to have faith in that which you don't know. All right, I see enough of this, and now I just know that, the mysteries are vast and endless, so I'll just enjoy it. And I'll remain a scientist too. I'll remain a interested observer in what's about to happen. Intuition matters more in these realms, and in the realm of art. But art requires logic too, to rein things in and make it. Gotta follow some rules, and you've gotta discard other rules. People want to know What is chaos? We hear a lot about it. Chaos. Expect the unexpected. You know? That's ultimately all you need to know when you're stepping into a world of chaos. Just ask yourself also, why are you stepping into a world of chaos? You know what I mean? Yeah, if you're going to do that, expect the unexpected. But why are you stepping into chaos? Are you hoping to make something out of it? Are you ready to surrender to a flurry of opportunities at all times? That's where rules can get tricky. So you don't really need to. You're already in a world of chaos. You don't need to go seeking it. And that is part of the magic of taming the chaos. It expects you to manipulate it. And it also has a way of manipulating you back. It's trying to play with you. So when we work on digital alchemy, like we have here, each picture, and I'm smacking my lips over here drinking this tea. I'm sorry about that. But in this picture here, this is really like a puzzle to be solved. I'm trying to solve a puzzle. I'm trying to get the right composition on the canvas. I want the right composition. You want a rhythm too. Each picture in digital alchemy tries to have some type of cascading effect, where the elements work with each other and they kind of groove into each other. They bump into each other a little bit, but they're not like, body slamming each other. When you're at the club, when it's a really packed nightclub and everybody's got their drink, sometimes two drinks, and the bodies are everybody's packed in there. Neon lights, you feel the bass. That's what you want digital alchemy to be like. For the most part. I mean, there has to be a lot of details, right? But it all has to be in rhythm. You got to find the right brushes that you like to use. Get used to some brushes and take some risks and make sure that you're, having fun. Can't do it without having fun. You can hardly do it without exhilaration, to be honest. It has to be even beyond fun. You've got to be exhilarated. I mean, and you don't have to try. It just is or it isn't. I think exhilaration comes from within. We think about roller coasters and how that's given us a sense of exhilaration. When we're nosediving 90 miles an hour on a machine, like. But exhilaration can also be internally generated by tapping into your passion. Nothing feels better than making art. You know what I mean? Making love too. But that's making art. Being in a state of creativity. You can be in love with life. And a changed mind will help you readjust. Because your heart is so big, it's not just the organ in the middle of your chest. That's just a 3D printed version of like the astral and like the cosmic version of your heart, which is so vast And it's so much more than that. And so the more you open your heart, it's you just let more chaos in. You surrender to more chaos, and you find that change is just, it's all just flowing. And so logic, that comes in and slices you off from, because it knows that, all right, we're letting a lot of chaos in, and we need to have some kind of boundary before this gets out of hand. You know what I mean? Before this gets out of hand. Because chaos doesn't care. It'll just devour all order. It knows that more is always being generated. The new order is always, it's producing more order so that it can play with it and disintegrate it back again. And order jumps out of the sea of chaos, and then it dives back in. Another thing you can do to improve your digital alchemy is to have a sense of humor. That will keep you alive. I said that in my last video. A sense of humor will keep you alive. When we talk about the promised land, which we should talk about a lot more, we need to talk about the promised land more. But when we talk about it, we are not talking about something that's far away. It's not a matter of distance. It's a matter of vibration. Everywhere is the center, and the center is everywhere. You can't go anywhere that's not the center. And so where you're standing and where they're standing, where your wife is standing, where your dog is standing, everybody standing in the center. And so the promised land, paradise, it's already there. So your only choice then to get access to it is to vibrate in such a way that your core elevates and it teleports into that other dimension where the vibration is different. Yes, everybody. So the point of all this, well, maybe not all of it, but one of the points I'm trying to express is that we ought to control our mind, or other forces will control it for us. If you don't control your mind, something else will attempt to control it. Be in control on the mental plane. remember to refocus on the best possible outcome. I call this picture Kali, named after Kali Ma, the goddess of destruction. I felt conflicted about working with this picture or naming it Kali, because I don't have a relationship with the goddess Kali. I've never tried to build a relationship. And yet I wanted to name this picture after her. That energy. And so on one hand I was like, am I like name dropping the goddess? But then a part of me said, it's not an act of disrespect. It's out of respect. And it's an honor, if anything. Imagine if a little child was observing you, right? You know how little kids stare at people. And imagine if they drew a picture of you. And then they walked up to you and gave you the picture. Would you be mad at the kid? Probably not. You would think it was delightful, and you'd be honored. And I decided that for that reason and other reasons, if you have the desire to express yourself, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. I don't have scientific proof for this, but I know that unexpressed emotions, unexpressed internal scenarios that happen in our imagination, and which are emotionally charged, it all does boil down to emotion. That brings energy into everything. Unexpressed emotions tend to linger on. And some people think that they turn into malignant, backwards versions of themselves. I don't know if that's true, but I think it is. And I think that is where intrusive thoughts come from sometimes. Not all the time, but when there's a part of yourself that's sitting in darkness and it wants to come up for air, it may send you signals. And that's not a signal you need to be afraid of. All right? So until next time, everybody, this has been a Mind Blossom production. I appreciate you being here with me, and we'll do this again. All right? Choose love above all. Choose love. Love yourself so much that it extends outwards onto everybody around you. And until next time, peace out.